Vinyl. It's excellent film. You must stick around for the Q&A. As awesome as this film is, the Q&A will be even better because the writer and director, both Jim Cooper and Sara Sugarman, are here, and the stories behind how they made. Oh, I thought I heard something back there. Oh, here we go. All right. Stick around for the Q&A. And I want to introduce director Sara Sugarman.
It's really exciting that it's a full house. All the filmmakers, the producers, John Williams is just walking in, and screenwriter Jim Cooper, typical director, forgot the screenwriter. Anyway, so thank you so much for coming. There'll be a Q&A afterwards. Just really, really impressed and grateful that you came. Thanks.
All right. So, Jim Cooper, director Sara Sugarman, and
Steve Berger, co-producers here today. Come on down, Steve. He's here somewhere. Here he is. Here he is.
I think one of the funny stories is you guys just started off with how this project came together and how, especially how you two came together.
Oh, okay. Opening up my mouth, you can instantly figure out what the hell does this person have to do with this. But actually, believe it or not, everything started for the film is I live in LA, and The Alarm, a band who I was a huge fan of, particularly in high school and college, had pulled effectively this real life rock and roll swindle back in the UK, and I'd read about it in the LA Times. And I was like, this sounds like a really interesting movie idea. So I brought it to the producer, John Williams, who, I don't see him here right now. John's produced Shrek, 7 Years in Tibet, you know, various different films, and he's like, that sounds like a great movie idea. And we started talking about potential British directors, and John was, oh, Sara Sugarman, okay, this is great. Anyways, like a few days later, The Alarm was in town to be on an American TV show, and while spending the day with them, you know, milking information out of them about the true story, Mike Peters, the lead singer, goes, you know, I grew up in Wales with a woman who's a director out here now, Sara Sugarman. And we're like, oh my God. Like, instantly pulls out his phone, call up Sara. The next day, John, I, Mike, and Sara get together. And, you know, and it was amazing. Like, Sara's like, oh yeah, I was in a punk band and I opened for them, and, you know, and Sara?
My boyfriend was the bass guitarist.
Well, and it was funny too, because it was one of those things where I'm pitching, they sort of get together at someone like Joe Strummer's funeral, and you're like, I knew Joe Strummer. And you know how like John and I are like, oh my God, how can this not be? And so Sara and I started working together and just ended up writing it together. And so it was a very interesting process where, you know, if we divide it up, it would probably be like, I would be structure guy, and like the guy who'd go, American audiences wouldn't understand that. And send it to Sara, Sara would rewrite it, send it to me, and vice versa. And so, you know, well, tell about your town of Rill.
What happened is John Williams, you know, and Jim both are big studio guys, and so the first thing that happened is it was sent out to the studios, and we like it, it's a bit British, blah blah blah. And meanwhile, you know, I am an old punk at heart, and I was like, well, like if you guys can't get it made, would you let me have a go? Like can I have a go at making it? And very kindly they said yeah. And what happened in the meantime is I'd been to American Film Institute, and hence Stephen Berger on my right. So when I was at Film Institute, you know,
we were told. I'd like to point out she went to AFI after having directed a studio movie for Disney.
I always do things back to front. It's just like, so I hooked up at AFI because I thought, you know what, I'm fed up of like the industry and how hard it is to get anything made. And I remember when I first started, and I'd been to like a film school in Britain like 10 years earlier or something, and I just I harked back to those days, and I thought, you know, who cares? I'm just going to go. These projects take so many years to make. Why not be at film school while everyone's getting the billions together or whatever it is to make a film, and go make some films with everyone at film school? So that's exactly what I did. And Stephen Berger was one of these guys, so here he is. I don't know, so we all got together. And I don't know, like at film school, you might want to talk about cycle projects and how much it costs to make a cycle project at AFI.
So actually what we learned at AFI was very much in the punk rock spirit, which is just DIY, just pull it together with what you can and kind of sticking two fingers up at the studio system in a way. So that's exactly what we did. I met Sara, I met Clay Reed at AFI, and you know, probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. And we just, you know, kind of said, well, you know, let's go to North Wales, let's make a movie, and then next thing we know, the three of us have tickets booked, and that's it, and that's how we're going to start making this movie.
And the 3 tickets booked was half our budget that we had. like you know, at AFI, I was like, well, what's the difference? You know, at AFI, you make a cycle project. They call them cycle projects. They're these short films, and you're given $2,000. And I'm thinking, you know, it's just the same. I mean, like, yeah, we've got more lines to say, but you know, it's the same. Like, let's make it for $2,000. Let's do it. So the plane tickets were like like 1,000. So like we're left there. So I'm ringing up anybody I've ever met on any holiday, anybody. Hi, we're making a film. Any chance of like a little donation? So we end up with just enough money in our hands to kind of start production. And luckily for us, Clay Reed, who Stephen was talking about, came to stay at my brother's house. I was house sitting. He was away at Spain for two weeks, and so we had to get this together. We actually took 4 weeks to get it together, but the first 2 weeks were crucial. I had been given orders that nobody but me were allowed in my brother's house. So I thought, well, no, he said no one's to sleep at my brother's house. So Clay sat downstairs and closed his eyes like that on the couch at night. We bought 2 pay-as-you-go phones, and I kid you not, we got this together. The whole thing took 4 weeks on 2 pay-as-you-go phones. We didn't want to clock up my brother's bill, so we were on the phones, but then we put an answer machine if they wanted to ring us back, and it said, we changed the message, this is the vinyl production office. But at 6 o'clock every night we had to change it back to, this is the Sugarman residence. Kid you not. And then the other things, what was fantastic is like, they were like, in real, we rang the local paper, and they were like, Hollywood producers come to Wales. It was like splashed all over the Real Journal, this tiny little town. It's like Hollywood, and because Clay and Steve were like all speaking like that, you know, it was like, oh my God, Hollywood. And everyone had just left AFI, but they were like, major Hollywood producer comes to Wales to make film. And so like Clay and his parents in Alabama, and I don't know if Steve's parents fell for it, but Clay was like sending home, like, and the parents were like thrilled because their children were on front of the papers, it will happen so quickly. And so luckily, you know, because I was from this hometown, and this is another kid you not, the BBC made a half-hour documentary on me when I bought a ticket to Los Angeles. Just because I said I'm going to Los Angeles and I bought an airplane ticket, they were like, oh, wow. And the BBC made a documentary. So if you come from where I come from, it's only up. You can't do any harm, any wrong there. So luckily, in my past, you know, I'd left home early to do all this and hang out with punk rockers in London and all that, but lucky for me, it turned out...
Sara was actually in the movie Sid and Nancy.
So lucky for me, before I left my hometown, I had another boyfriend, Stephen Goddard, when I was 11, and he did very well for himself because he was the one who owned, you know, where the big lad lives, in that big manor house. Well, that was also our hotel where the crew stayed, and he gave us this crazy deal that both Clay and Steve did with him, and they wouldn't take no for an answer. How much was it, and what did we get there?
They
Don't
lost
say the
money
actual
on this.
number.
Yeah, they gave us Sunday roast. We had the run of the place.
Remember the peacocks?
Oh, there were peacocks running around the property. It was absolutely unbelievable.
And then, luckily for us again, Steve Goddard, you know, who's only middle-aged. We all live at home till we're like 90 in Wales. He's only middle-aged, so his parents like own the hotel with him. They had also gone to Spain, bizarrely, and so while they were away, we used the interior of the hotel as most of our locations as well. While the other guests had to like, you know, duck and dive around us, and all this for I think it was like £8 a head, including 3 meals and a Sunday roast, you know. But the actors spent a fortune at the bar, so that was it. They came out in profit anyway. And so it just went on like this, and we had enough for 5 actors. We could pay 5 actors, and then everybody else were locals. And the chief of police, that guy Simon, he really is the chief of police, but not just for the town, for the entire north of Wales. And he was begging to be in it. And then when we got parking tickets and stuff like that, oh yeah, you can tell us about well, he just threw the parking tickets away. So here's something about the motorway.
Well, you know, we coming from Los Angeles, we're used to, if you want to just shoot somebody walking off of a curb into a street, you need to get intermittent traffic control. It's tens of thousands of dollars a minute practically. So we want to stage this fight scene on the side of the road. Is it the M6 or the M?
Yeah, A55.
The A55. So we call up Simon and say, well, you know, we kind of want to do this thing. It's kind of on the side of the road. And so we start throwing Keith Allen, who's Lily Allen's dad, if you know the singer. We start throwing his head about 3 inches from cars going about 55, 60 miles an hour. And Simon just says, oh, have fun, shuts it down, brings out patrol cars, costs nothing.
Yeah. Shuts down the road.
He had a proper cup of tea and he was happy.
Well, and also with the Manor House, one of the things I love is in the middle of the shoot, the people who own the place actually come back and realize that we've taken over the place for virtually nothing and are like horrified. Oh my God, you know, this must stop now, and like cutting back and everything. But slowly but surely, Sara's like, would you like to be in a scene, love? You know, this, that, the other. And then sort of like the scene where they get drunk and play the song for the first time is their house. It was like, and with their Bentley. And by the end of the shoot, they were like, we have a helicopter, would you like to use the helicopter? And it was like, just, I think you couldn't figure out a good aerial shot, and that's the only reason. Oh, well, and the other amazing one was the castle at the end, at the rock concert in the castle, free. The alarm was actually playing a gig there. Mike Peters, who this is based on, and it's funny, we've talked about, there are a lot of things in here that are very real, that most people don't believe, but then there was stuff that we left out. Like Mike, the lead singer, literally got leukemia and beat it during the course of this entire story, and we're like, should we add the cancer subline? No, it just seems overkill. And so Mike's doing this big charity concert at the castle, and it's like, right, would you like to shoot? And we're like, okay. But 2-3 days at a castle for free, and so you're just like, the whole step along the way was just, it was almost a movie in itself.
And I just have to say, like, you know, it was like, I presume it was kind of like having a baby, you know, like, yeah, you forget all the pains of it all. But as Steve Berger, this man, as he's standing here, and I haven't seen him for a while, it's all coming back to me, you know, just like what a huge. Steve and Clay were the guys that actually got all this together so that we could do it. And all I did was moan. It was like, because he had to do about 5 jobs, it's like, well, he was also the AD. Where's my AD? Where's my AD? He's getting a ferry boat for us at the moment. It was all like that, you know. And the guys didn't sleep. And right at the beginning, we had to decide, you know, like, should we have food that day or should we buy a printer? We'll buy a printer and we'll just cope with a bag of candy or something. So I just big thank you, you know, to Steve and Clay, who isn't here today, and just the goodwill of everybody in my hometown, you know. For any young filmmakers or old filmmakers or filmmakers wanting to go make a film, you know, yet to be a filmmaker, go to your hometown. As long as it's not Los Angeles, then you're in trouble.
Talk a little bit about the collaboration process with Mike Peters and creating the music for the film, which is obviously the heart of the film.
Really? Because you were there for all of that. Sara's always handed me, which is odd. Well, actually, it was really interesting because, first off, everyone in the film who plays music is actually playing that music. Like, all the old band and all the young band actually play. And so Mike Peters, the guy who actually, did the prank in real life, wrote a whole mess of music for us. And then Phil Daniels, who played Johnny Jones, also wrote a lot of music. And as well, it's really interesting, Jamie, who plays Drainpipe, Sara actually had him play his own songs that he had written. So we tried as much as humanly possible to have the music played by the people who are really playing it and or written by. Like Phil actually co-wrote Free Rock and Roll with Mike Peters because Phil really wanted to get in there and do it, so rewrote the lyrics. And it was actually pretty awesome because the chapel that we were shooting in also had a recording studio upstairs. So they could actually go up and record some stuff. And what was also fascinating is Mike pulled a lot of his original punk songs from like the late 70s that had never been recorded.
When they were called the Toilets. They were called the Toilets back then.
Yeah. And so re-recorded them with Phil singing a lot of the songs. So we would actually get the feeling of true punk songs with the actual characters singing.
There's so much energy in the film, and I'm just wondering if you can kind of talk about how that came about with the time constraints.
I was lucky enough to have a part, like be an actress in Alex Cox's films, and Alex really did teach me a lot about attitude. That's what he taught me. A bit of attitude on set, and not to be afraid, and that whole thing about punk spirit, about just let go and just go for it. And I mean, obviously we'd had a plan, and we'd all been through AFI together, which gave us a shorthand. And we had this very much, we'd planned it out like this real intellectual film school thing where, I knew that like Johnny meant he was walking through time, so we were only going to track through space. We were never going to go from side to side. It was always going to be pushing into deep space. And the record company, we knew that we wanted it flashy, like CSI and all that. But for the most part, when it came to it, it was like, bloody hell, we've got 40 setups, and we've got to get out of here by 2 o'clock. Quickly, they're running, they're going to come and get us, we're going to be thrown off set, just shoot it. And that's where the energy came from. The fact that we had to get out of there, or we only had 2 minutes, or, like just running out of light, or we didn't have the light, or, so that kind of adrenaline was from the fact that we didn't have a budget, and I am a big believer that style comes from your limitations. At Disney I had all the time in the world. I just I'd cough and 20 hankies would show up for me. So I don't know what to do with that. I shouldn't say that, talk myself out of a job, but I really loved just doing this, on the hoof with, it's like that kind of American thing, let's put a show on in the barn. So it's just that gave it the style and the energy, I think, the fact that we didn't have anything.
Okay, yeah, I got one more question. I know we want to get some questions from the audience. This is more. So I guess there's 2 people that were in the film, not only your dog, but also Jim made an appearance as well.
That's right. You might want to talk about that.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because it's her father who hands me the roll of toilet paper to go clean up the old person. Oh, and actually it was kind of odd. That day we actually did shoot in a nursing home, too, so it would be like, would anyone like to be in a punk rock movie? Come on in. So
the entire crew, we'd have the gaffer set up the lights and they'd say, all right, go run over there really, really quick. I mean, I'm in the movie, everybody's in the movie.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, the nature of the beast.
Sometimes they're in the movie as producer, AD. I can give you 2 shots, like in the nursing home when the free rock and roll happens and the guys are inside, the producer's on the phone trying to get the next shot outside the window. There's another one of those in the high street with the AD trying to make sure no one's looking at camera, But they're so not used to having movie cameras in Wales that because we had a movie camera, no one really knew what it was, so they didn't bother looking at it. They'd never seen one.
Oh, and the other thing that I always found really amazing was, I don't know, the main actors here aren't really well known here at all, but in Britain it was really fascinating. Phil Daniels, who plays Johnny Jones, probably his most famous role in Britain was he played the character of Jimmy Cooper, my name, in The Who's Quadrophenia, which, you know, particularly in Britain is sort of like, you know, rebel without a cause there. And he also did like a long stint on EastEnders recently, and I found it fascinating. He'd be walking down the street, and you get like these 16-year-old kids going, "Phil Daniels, you're the greatest guy in the world. Oh God, it's Phil!" And then, you know, Quadrophenia is the best fucking movie of all time. And then I'll be taking pictures with them, and then you get like these 50-year-old women going, "Oh Phil, I loved you in EastEnders," you know, and they'd want a picture with them. And it was weird because the young people loved him from the old film, and the older people loved him from the new stuff. And it was just sort of like, yeah. Oh, and that was another one of the. So Phil had a couple really big hits with the band Blur in the mid-90s, and he had this one song, Park Life, which is particularly huge in Britain. And one of my favorite moments was the rap party where.
Well,
go on.
Just so you know, every single night after we wrap, the crew would be exhausted, and to just let off steam, we'd go to a karaoke bar at the holiday camp every single night. Actually, the TV studio that you saw, we literally just set up a karaoke bar as a TV studio, and I like to think we sold it. But every single night, somebody would put on Park Life and karaoke, they would beg for it, and we'd always try and push Philip on the stage, and he would never go. Finally, at the rap party, Phil Daniels sang Park Life. The entire cast, the entire crew got up on stage, and it was just kind of a magical moment. But we couldn't get him to do it until then. I mean, I don't even know what you'd equate that to in the U.S. It was just the biggest anthem.
Yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? It's like, I don't know, what is it like? What's a big karaoke classic out here?
Well, it's not Don't Stop Believing, but
Okay, something like that. And so we got, you know, and he was with us, and my nephew's also in the film, Joel, the one that played the bad drums with the big hair. He donated his. We couldn't, you know, with our budget, we couldn't find the shoes that Johnny was meant to have for 20 years. So those, at the beginning of it, they were very nice. His parents own a shop. They were very nice, kind of winkle picker shoes that his parents. What are the days where the parents choose the groovy shoes for the square kid? Anyway, so they bought in these great shoes, and then I said, "Look, Joel, can we have your shoes? Because we need a pair of pointy shoes like that." So he said, yeah, you can have them. So then the art department were like that with them, like banging them, like, making them into a right mess. And then Johnny Jones, Phil Daniels, wore them for the whole shoot, and they were a mess by the end of it, an absolute mess. And Joel's in heaven. He still wears them every day. They're like his pride and joy now.
Phil Daniels had to borrow my belt too. I think I ran around for about 4 weeks with my pants falling down until I could get my belt back.
Do you have any questions from the audience? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so thank you. That was sort of like the Berlitz of guerrilla filmmaking. So thank you. Did you happen to make a film of the film? Because everything you're talking about, I want to see the backstory.
Wouldn't that be great? I kind of knew, and we got a young guy from film school to come and do exactly that, but because he was a young guy from film school, he's got the camera up in the air with the blue cloud, like the clouds floating through space. And it's just like this arty thing where it's like, where is he? Where is he? Look, the ship's going down, we need him. Like, he should be shooting this, and he'd be like, out in the field. And he's putting it into a film festival somewhere.
Did you have a question?
I did. There are a lot of things I love about the film, but I love the casting of the people you audition. Are there any backstories of the people? Look at you guys, you're smiling.
Yeah.
Backstory about the audition scene.
Well, it was brutal. You're absolutely right. It actually, my favourite filmmaker. Am I going to forget his name? Oh my God! Am I? Milos Forman. And for me, it wasn't about American Idol. It was one of my favourite films. Is one of his early films over there, and great film student. I can't remember the name of it, but he had exactly that. And in his first film in America, Taking Off, he did the same thing where he just got real people and shot them. So I always wanted to do this scene. I was so grateful I found something, you know, a place to do it. And so the poor kids, we tortured those kids. Yeah. We tortured them. They thought they were auditioning for the film.
Yeah, we set it up as a real audition, and Sara was not just directing actors, she was directing the crew. She said, when they walk in, I want them to be like deer in headlights. Don't look at them. If they ask a question, which they all did, don't answer them, don't applaud, don't smile. And we just built this air of those awkward environments.
So they were just so hopeful that they might get into the film, and then they didn't know if they were doing well, and it was just torture for us, but we lived. But they didn't. So we just got this authentic thing of them trying for us, you know. Yeah, they weren't.
It was really taken to that guy about, but I thought there'd be one, you know, plug in.
And we had a crew member whose only job was to go outside and apologize to everybody else.
And we had a lot more of that, and the poor guys that went through it all and aren't on the screen. But there you go.
Back there? Way in the back?
I loved the movie. I loved it. There's about 25 people I want to send to see it.
Aw.
Where can we see it?
Well, we are having screenings on Monday in Los Angeles for all the buyers. So everybody put in a Namia Ho Renge Kyo or whatever you do, the punk equivalent or whatever. So we would love to get distribution. You know, that's what we'd love to do. Otherwise, I probably think we'll sell it online. I will.
eBay.
Sara Sugarman. www.sarasugarman.com. If the worst comes to the worst.
There's
But I
a
tell
film
you.
festival in Sonoma County. Go up there.
Okay, we will. With that, want to buy a DVD? Want to buy a DVD? Well, you know, we've got to aim high, see if it happens, and then you know, www.thealarm.com. If it all goes, you know, bad, you'll find it online. And thank you. We have one buyer. We're actually doing an
Well, thank you guys so much.
We are here with Sara Sugarman and her fabulous film Vinyl, and it's just the hit of the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. Thank you, Sara.
Thank you.
Tell us about, on the film, this song, Free Rock and Roll, plays such a big part. Is that going to be a single on the actual radio?
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, the thing is, we've got this whole scheme, we've got a big scheme going on up our sleeves. I hope so. I hope so, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to take it and hopefully it will get picked up for distribution.
Well, the thing is, there was a band called The Alarm, which this is about, and they were from my hometown, and they're still going, and they've got a website, and I bet you if you go to www.thealarm.com, it's probably already on there.
All right.
It's probably, knowing Mike Peters, it'll be on there.
All right, excellent. What's your hometown in Wales? What's the actual name of the town?
It's called Rhyl, R-H-Y-L, Hill, and I think it actually means the hill.
Okay,
That's what I
excellent.
think it means, but I might be absolutely making a fool of myself. I've forgotten my Welsh.
Well, we've listened to your wonderful Q&A, so we know a lot about it now. We're very excited. The only thing we haven't heard about is Bling Bling, who accompanies you everywhere.
Yes, she does. She directed the film.
And there's Bling Bling.
She directed the film.
In America, everyone loves their dogs, as everywhere.
She comes with me everywhere. It's a short snack in case I get hungry. Can you sing the song Free Rock and Roll?
Yeah.
I want to test you.
No, I can't, but I can love the film forever, and we want to see it everywhere in America on every single screen.
That's so nice of you.
We're going to follow your progress, and we'll see you everywhere.
That's so nice of you. Thank you for having me. It's been great fun being here.
Thank you,
It's been really
Sara.
good. Thank you.